Hello and welcome to Kenzo Codeplay. So today we'll be developing this hotel booking app. So basically, as you can see, we have a login register form, and we can either log in or register with a Google account or with just an email. So once you've authenticated and you are in the app, it then has like two main screens, which is the book a room and my bookings. So my bookings technically just shows all the current bookings that you have, and then for now we just have three main rooms, which is the superior room, the deluxe, and standard room. So when you click on any room, it gives you a calendar which you can then use to make a booking, and it also displays a slip for the current booking that you're making. So if we were to decide that we want to book the first, second, and the third, it will then update the booking slip. And once we make a booking, the booking, if successful, it will then display on my bookings. So let's get started. So as you can see, I've already created the app and it's already running. And I've also created the Firebase application as well. So on Firebase, just make sure that you enable authentication and Firestore. And then on the Firestore, just make sure that you have the web app enabled, and you also have the authentication. You'll take this configuration and paste it in your app. And then on authentication, just make sure that you have both the email password enabled and also the Google authentication enabled as well. So once that's done, um, let me just show you what I have on my Firestore. So I have a collection named rooms, and the collection has different documents. So each single document is a different type of room. So it has the name, the price, the description, and the features. So the features is just what the room comes with. Um, yeah, that's just about it. Let's get down to the coding. So basically what I have on my hotel app is just this text for now. And what we want to start with is the authentication and the styling for the main app itself. So maybe rather let's start with the styling so we can style the app appropriately and just get it over and done with. And let's create a component directory which will hold all our components, and we'll also have a styling component directory man. So the stylings will hold all the stylings for all our components, and then for our styling, what we'll be using is says so um, I just enjoy the fact that it makes cleaner styling, and it's easier to understand what you are styling, which component in which other component, and all of that. So for me, it simplifies a lot of things. So to start off things, let's start with the styling first. Um, or rather, let's not start with the styling. Let's start with the authentication. So obviously, first of all, for the authentication, we'll be needing the configuration file. So also let's define that. Let's write that down, and we'll use that for the Firebase authentication configurations. And for that, what you'll do is you'll just copy that configuration file that I showed you on Firebase, and yeah. So first of all, let me copy mine. I've defined mine. Here it is. And then what we want to do is we want to initialize our app. So and then we will give it the Firebase configuration. After that, what we want is to get the authentication from the app itself. So we'll call it auth. And then we'll give it the app. And then we'll also, since we'll be using the Firestore inside the app itself, we don't have any backend. We'll also um, define our database and initialize it. So get Firestore and then we'll give it the app as well. And then now we'll just export all of these, or rather the authentication and the database. Let me see something. I am getting authentication wrong and the app itself wrong. So we want to get it from Firebase authentication and then the get Firestore will be getting it from Firestore. Perfect. So our authentication seems complete. Yeah, let's move on to the authentication itself. So we'll define an auth. And this authentication will have its own styling, obviously. Then in the app itself, we'll just call the authentication. First of all, we need to define if it if a user is signed in or all of that, and then we'll obviously need to check if they're signed in, and if they're signed in, we want to display the main application. If they are not signed in, then we want to get them authenticated. How we do that is we first of all need to let's just start with authentication first of all, guys. For authentication, obviously we need to first of all me just let's get a directory here, Dev. And then we'll just give it the class name of authentication container. And then we'll just have a h1 for now. Obviously for the authentication itself, we need to handle the login. And then we also need to handle the sign in. So when the user is signing in with either or with the email. And then we'll just leave those as they are for now. Let's go to app and call our authentication for now. And then obviously in the app itself, we need to import the authentication and then also import the styling as well. And then also import our authentication. Perfect. It's just let me zoom in here. Export default, the import as was not defined, it was not found. Okay, fair. So that means we did not export our authentication. Perfect. So as you can see now, the authentication is the one that's displaying, since app does not have anything else other than calling the authentication part. And then let's just implement the logic for when a user is authenticated and when the user is not authenticated. For that, on our app, we also need to handle the persistence. So it persists when the user is signed in and all of that, and when the user is not signed in. So for that, we'll need to firstly define our user. Just give it null for now, and constant. Leave it. And then obviously now we need to handle the point where the user is signed in, and we need to again persist. So to do that, we'll use effect. And then to do that, we need to define unsubscribe. And then now what we'll be doing is we'll be importing authentication from the Firebase configuration file that we created. So first of all, let's maybe import it. Now that our authentication is defined, we will use the onState changed on authentication state change, and then we'll give it the current user. And then set user. So what happens is that it will check if, even if the window was closed, or even if you refresh, it will just get the current user, and then just set it to the current user in this current application. Sounded like a mouthful. And then we'll just return unsubscribe otherwise. And then here will not be taking in anything, just an empty array. Missing semicolon. What did I do wrong? So it should be authentication dot onState changed. I think I am missing semicolon here. And what else? What else am I missing here? I don't know, man. Oh, man, definitely should be this. Should be that. And then once that's out of the way, we should be okay now. So it doesn't authenticate as of yet because we haven't authenticated. Then what do we do now? Let's just make sure that we are now checking if the user is logged in and all of that, since we are now making use of the user. So if the user is logged in, I want to do this, which is just display a text. H2. Logged in. Let's just display logged in for now. And then obviously that's where our app will go. And then So if the user is not logged in, this is what we want to do. And what we want to do is just display authentication. Yeah, just display authentication. So since our authentication is just displaying hotel booking app, maybe let's change that to display something else, just to be clear that we are now trying to authenticate the user. Yeah, let's handle that just to make sure that now we are trying to authenticate the user and all of that. And for that, what we will do is we will say we'll keep the h1, but then obviously now we want to have those two buttons or radio buttons where you choose whether you are trying to log in or register. So maybe let's handle that bit, and then obviously what we want is two tags, and then one for login and the other one for register. And then first of all, we need to keep track of whether the user is logged in or not. So, or rather, what page are we using? Are we using the login or are we using the register? For that, I'll just define a login, set login. So this is just for the tags itself. Use state, and then we'll set it to true. Let's just check if our radio buttons exist. We need to import use state. This should be on the same thing. We'll just take both of these because I think we'll be using both of them. And then these are not displaying as of yet. Now let's style our application just to make sure that we are displaying everything. Let's first style our application. So we'll just style the body and and the buttons, I guess. Because let's just style our body, man. Just style our body to make sure that everything is let's just style our body on the app. Body, and we just want to give it a font family of monospace na area. Get rid of this Helvetica thing. Just make sure the background color is white always. Margin 0. And then padding is also 0. And I think when it comes to the styling for the application itself, we'll come back to that. For now, let's just keep it as it is. It's just simple, the body styling. And then what we want to do now is get the authentication part complete. Maybe let's just get some rough draft of what we want to achieve. And then once that's done, we'll look at what else we can do. Yeah. First of all, let's get these these buttons working. First of all, we won't necessarily be calling them buttons, but let's get these working, and then we'll see what we do from there. So on click, what we want to do is we want to set that state for the login. Set login. We just want to set it to true always when you click on the login. And then we'll just copy this, come here, we want to set it to false, and this one is clicked, and then we'll deal with the styling afterwards. I'm not sure why I'm not seeing these radio or these buttons. We'll figure that out as we go on. Let's just start with the input handling. So first, what we need to take is we need to take in the email. Just keep it empty like that for now. Set password. Guys, and then once that's done, we'll just be giving out the different inputs now. We'll just be taking in the different inputs now. I think I'm missing something. Authentication. We need that authentication container. These should be inside that authentication container. And obviously the input doesn't need this. What we'll do is now we'll start defining all the placeholders and the types. So type email, placeholder, we'll just say email as well. And then value, we'll set it to that email value. And then on change, we want to take the E, set email, need a target value. And then we'll just give it a class name for now. input, rather authentication input. Then let's just copy this. We'll just replace the values for password, but still the same input. And then obviously password, password, and then target and all of that should stay the same. Let us just check what's going on here. Yeah, so we have these A tags which are not doing what they're supposed to be doing at the current moment, but we have these A tags, and we also have the inputs now. Let's just make sure. Ah, man, now see this thing of rushing. This thing of rushing will make you do mistakes, guys. But I'm not feeling well either way, so please don't blame me. Yeah, it looks perfect. Looks perfect for the time being. Now let's handle the buttons, where we need the buttons for whether we are logging in or whether we are registering. So for that, this is where we need that login part, that login boolean. This is where we need it. So if login, this is what I want to do, else I want to do this. Should be fine. I don't know what I'm doing wrong here, but let's firstly define it here. And for this one, obviously, we'll give it the login. Then we'll just define the other values, like the class name. On click, we want to handle login, and then the class name, we want the class name of maybe authentication button. What am I doing wrong here? Let's maybe take this. I want to handle sign up for that one. The class name still remains the same. And then it's just about it here for now. And then obviously we still want to add that Firebase UI. So for or signing in with either or the Google account. So we'll firstly import. Wait, let's style this for now, and then we'll see what happens with the other one. As you can see now, the button is changing from either one of the two of login or register. So depending on which one you click, which is nice. Now let's style it. Let's style authentication and just. So firstly, we have that authentication container. This is the main thing that holds all the elements. So we want the display to be flex direction. We want a column, obviously, and then we want to align items to the center, also justify to the center. And then we just want to maintain the height of the full screen or the entire screen, so 100 view height, and then we just give it the white background color. And then once that's done, let's style our H1. We want to give it a different color, and just get that color first of all. And then we want to give it the margin at the bottom of 10 view height. Padding, we want 8 pixels on the vertical and then 16 on horizontal. Border radius, just 15 pixels. I think I am not importing that styling from authentication. So let's firstly start importing the styling because it won't apply. Styles.authentication. Yeah, perfect. As you can see now, it's styled. Not fully, but at least we are getting somewhere now. Once the H1 is complete, now we want to style those authentication toggle buttons. So padding 10 pixels vertically, 20 horizontally. And then we just want to change the cursor to a pointer, make sure that the user knows that it's clickable color. We want a grayish color, and we just, and then the font size 1.2 EM. And so when it's checked, what we want to do is we want to change the color now to this bluish color. And then the font weight we also want to change to bold. And then we want to change the border at the bottom as well. Give it the 2 pixels solid. Then let's give it the light bluish color. same one that we are using for the heading. So currently, obviously, we did not define this as of yet. So maybe let's do the right thing. Class name. So we want to check if it's login. We want to give it authentication title and this title checked. Otherwise, we just want to give it authentication title in its own. Let's just copy this, paste it here. And then here we'll just add a value just to check if it's not logged in. So the opposite of logged in. It's still not being checked, but at least we know the cursor pointer now works. The issue I'm getting here is I didn't say anything about authentication title. So it's doing what it's supposed to be doing. It's just the mere fact that now the only mistake I made is here I didn't say authentication toggle. So authentication toggle should be like a container that contains all the authentications. And then obviously we need to give it its own styling. Let's just say flags. And then obviously the direction, we don't need to define anything. We just want to justify the contents to the center. And we want a small margin at the bottom of 20 pixels. I think that's just about it. Let's just check if it's doing exactly. So now we know that this works. So we move on to the next part, which is the inputs. So the inputs, now we need to handle them and style them accordingly. So let's style the inputs. So authentication input, then just need to put a dot there just to make sure. So we need to now style it a bit with 300 pixels, padding 10 pixels. Then we also want to give it what? Margin at the bottom, just to give it some space. Margin at the bottom, just fix the border there and the border radius as well. I like a little bit of border radius. So margin bottom, we'll just give it 15 pixels. Border, we want 1 pixels solid. Just give it this. And then border radius, just give it some 5 pixels. It looks perfect. It looks nice now. Now what we need to do, I think, is we need to style the buttons themselves. background color, and just give it that bluish color that we are using as a default, and then we'll just color, we'll just give it a white, man. And then just give it some margin, and then border radius 2.5 pixels. Ten pixels vertically, 20 horizontal. And then just remove the border entirely, so none. And then we just want the cursor that's a pointer. What else? So now we need to handle when it hovers. Hover. We wanna give it a darker shade of this blue, man. So I think that's just about it. So now the buttons are actually styled correctly. Authentication seems complete for now. Let's just make sure it's oh yeah, we need it. We're missing that the UI where we authenticate with the Firebase Google. So let's use that for now. So firstly, obviously, we need to import everything from there. So yeah, import everything as Firebase UI from Firebase UI. And now the usage. Let's just put it in there for now, and then we'll then define the usage afterwards. Then we'll just give it the ID, this one. So now what we want to do is we will just want to handle this button and just so use effect, and then in here we just want to take authentication. Let UI. So now we just want to check if the instance of the UI already exists. If it doesn't exist, we create a new one. So So if it does exist, we'll just UI is equal to get the instance. And then we'll give it the ID here, that container that we created. Sign in options. Something is wrong here. I think we need to import our Firebase as well. So yeah, Google authentication provider, and then we just want to get the provider ID. And then once that's done, and then we just initiate the sign-in flow. Let's say pop-up. And then callbacks. Just want to give him a welcome. If I can get the $sign, and then we just want to use those authentication results dot use the display name. Then I think that's about it. Nope. Still need to return false. So you just to prevent the redirect after signing. Once that's done with the once that's done, I think we are missing. Are we missing anything? Oh yeah, we need to clean up after ourselves, guys. So clean up the UI when the component unmounts. UI dot reset. Now we are done. If you can stop missing all of these things. Now we are done. So as you can see now, the UI for the Google authentication is there. The UI for the Google authentication is there. We just need to style it just to match our just to match our own bit of styling when it comes to authentication. So maybe let's start with the text itself, because I don't like the fact that it's displaying. So Firebase UI authentication contain, and then also Firebase UI text. So now the text is gone. Now you just need to style the container, the thing itself now. Let's make it a bit smaller, man. I mean, you could always just call a picture an image, download a Google image, use that as your Google authentication, or maybe create your own Google authentication UI. For that, I am choosing to just show you that you can use the UI from Firebase itself. And then um, yeah, It works now, guys. Just missing something here. It's fine. I don't think I'm gonna give myself a headache over this. Perfect. I will not give myself a headache over something so simple. But it looks fine now, guys. At least when you hover, you know it's a button. And then I think that's just about it on authentication. Let's just implement the logic for authentication. So handle sign in and handle all of that, just to, so obviously it's always good practice to wrap this in a try and catch. Let's use a let rather. And then what we want to do is await. Here we are creating user with email and password. Then we want to give it the authentication, the email, password. And then what we want to do is alert. Just want to copy this. Obviously we'll be using a different function to log in, authenticate, rather than create. Sign in with email and password. And then let's give it a try. So it's not doing anything, or rather there it is, it's saying invalid credentials. At least we know that when we try to log in with those credentials, it doesn't want. If we try to register, registration is successful and it says we are logged in. Now the issue is that now this will persist, so we can't now log in anymore or register anymore, that now that the user is currently logged in. So we need to have a sign out button somewhere. For that, I think we will be doing it in application, and then we'll have, a navigation bar. So we'll just have a navigation bar for that. And then I'm not sure as of yet. I don't think the navigation needs. Yeah, we'll just give it some styling as well. Let's create our navigation bar. And then also on our app, we need to now call the navigation bar as well. Let's firstly, I think we need to handle the sign out here. So we need to handle the sign out on the application itself. Do that try catch. And then now let's call that authentication bar here. On navigation bar, we'll give it the user. And we'll give it on sign out. And then we'll give it that handle sign out function that we just recently created. Now I think that's just what we are going to take. Yeah, let's wrap this in the, just make sure that at least our indentation isn't that horrible. Now that the navigation bar is complete, or rather now that we are, let's define it. What will it take? It will obviously take in the handle sign out, on sign out, and the user. So we'll firstly take in the user and then on sign out. Then just return just going Return a div for now. Let's export it. Default nav bar. Now we need to, are we calling the right nav bar? We are not importing it, so let's import it. Perfect. It is now defined. Now all we need to do is just style it and do all the rest. So class name, then we'll have a h1, we'll just welcome the user here. Then we will take the user, the email, that slice 025 plus would repeat user.email at length -5. So basically what we are doing is we're replacing the entire or most of the email with just stars, so even when someone is passing by, they don't just see what your email is, and then all of a sudden you get spam emails non-stop. Then once that's done, we will need a container for the navigation bars, the tabs. And then these will just be buttons themselves. We forgot something, but let's leave it for now. Let's just copy this. So what we forgot is to handle tab changes. So set active tab, and then we need to handle this here. So this will handle, well, this will set the currently active tab and just display according to that. So then set active tab is equal to use state The main tab I want to set it to is just bookings. And then now we want to pass this on here. Set active tab is equal to set active tab. And then obviously for the navigation now, when we change tabs, here when you click, we want to set the currently active tab to bookings. That is the main default one. And then here we want to set it to my bookings, or my bookings, I guess. But obviously we don't want to leave any spaces. Perfect. So as you can see now, it has the title, the booker room, my bookings, but obviously we want it to display in a row rather than a column, but we'll style that. The main thing that we were looking for is that sign out button, which I want to test out. Button. And then here what we want is to set the on click. Then obviously now we just change the class name to sign out button. Let's just test if this one works. Perfect, it works. Now the user is signed out. Even if they reload now, the authentication will take over, or the persistence will take over. And now we can also sign in with Google account. I'm sure you can't see the the other window that's open, but it just signed me in with a Google account, as you can see. Now that we know that this also works, let's just let's create the navigation styling and then take it from there, because I think we need to style the navigation now, and then we move on to the main nitty-gritties. First of all, let's import it the site. Let's import it. And then here what we want is nav bar. It's in small letters. Flex, and then just want to justify the content to spacing between. Let's now style the navbar title. So it's just pretty simple. It's just the font size. Made a mistake here. So now, as you can see, the styling is a bit better now. You can clearly see the navigation bar, and the sign out button is a bit better as well. And then what do we need? We need the navigation tabs. Nav bar tabs. I don't think I defined the navigation tabs and the navigation bar. Or rather, now I need to get rid of that border. I think that's it, man, for the navigation. So now we need to go back to the app again, guys. Sorry for the back and forth, but now what we want to change is here. So we'll be calling bookings here, which we are yet to define. Otherwise, we will be calling my bookings, which we are also yet to define. Let's define those quickly and move on. Let's now call those in app, or rather let's just import them. See. So depending on the tab that we are on, it will display that page. So if we're on bookings, it will display that. If we're on my bookings, it will also display that. So now let's just start with bookings. Or rather, let's start with the easiest one for now, which is my bookings. So when it comes to booking, guys, I'm not gonna dwell on the styling, just for time's sake. I'll just be trying by all means to rush through this, so forgive me. Firstly, we obviously need to define the bookings. You state just make it into a empty array. Then here we'll say if bookings dot length is more than 0, this is what we want to display. Otherwise, this is what we want to display. So if we don't have any bookings, we want to display a p tag and if we have bookings, we wanna display an ordered list. I'll just give it a class name of my bookings list. And then obviously now we want to map over our bookings. List item. Let's keep it simple. I think that's just about it here. So booking, order list. Yeah, that's just about it. Now what we want to do is now we want to fetch all our bookings. So let's do that. Use effect. You wanna get the current user. Just make sure to call this fetch bookings. And then now we want a condition where we check by if user, so that if the user exists, we want to try this. And then we want to catch obviously the error. And then we just want to alert, or rather let's just console the error. Then when we try, we want to first of all get the bookings collection reference. Then we want to give it the database. Then we want to give it the reference name. And then we want to query that. Give it the bookings collection reference, where the user ID is equal to Now we are getting the bookings. What we want to do now is match any consecutive bookings, because the way I'm saving them on the Firestore is that we won't be it just saves each and every day is a different booking in itself. So what we want to do is just check if the current user has bookings that are consecutive for the same room, and then we just want to match those. And then yeah, let's do that. And then once we've matched those, we want to also fetch all the room names and all of that. So we need to do that individually since it's different collections. think that's fine, except for the mere fact that we are not defining this match. So let's try to define that. This dates consecutive will just define afterwards. Now that is out of the way, we just need to, now we just need to call the matched bookings dot push. Now let's define that, what is it? A date consecutive. Let's define that. This is pretty straightforward. So Here we failed to set the thingy. We failed to set the booking, so we need to set the booking. There is a lot going on, so that promise thing is giving us a problem. Not sure, let me just show you guys. Must be laughing at me right now. So the difference was that we try to getting an error that sorted bookings is not defined. So in that sense, I need to define sorted bookings. Here's my sorted bookings. Then document is not defined in 960, 61, 69. So sure, man. So obviously I need to now call document here because clearly it's not defined. Then there are no bookings as of yet. Then when it comes to the styling, you guys, I'll just show you right at the end the different styling for the different elements I'm about to create. So now what we need is we need bookings. We are done with my bookings. Now all we need is bookings. And this one is kind of loaded, guys. So please don't mind the silence when I'm coding. We just start with it. start with the rooms. Let's display all the rooms and their cards, or in a card, sort of. So now I'll define that later, just now. And then we'll just have a component for the room card, other than having a long line of code here. And then we'll see what we give to it. Let's get the rooms first of all. First of all, let's also fetch the rooms. As always, try and catch. And then what we also want is just to call this fetch room. Here it's just pretty straightforward calling, Firestore. So we'll start with the rooms collection. Give it the database and then just give it the collection name of the rooms. Now I think that's fine. So we just need to define our room card now. We'll also decide what we need to take in. Just let's call it in now. And then I think, I'm not sure, I think what we need to take in is the room, the selected room, and then set selected room, because for now let's just take in the room. Let's rather take them all. So this is just then a room object, so just to know which room is selected, and this is just setting it. So when you click on a room, it selects a room, and then when you yeah, and so forth. What am I missing? Start with the key, man. Now you just need to define these two. So there we're just checking if the current room that we are in is the selected room, and if it is, we want to set the class name to selected, or otherwise just leave it as room card, as only room card. And then on click, obviously we want to now then set the selected room to the current room that we are working with. And then we just need a h3 tag. P tag. This is our price. So I'm a South African guy, so it will always be in rands for me. And then it's per night. And then what we need is the description as well. Then finally we need the features. Just want to iterate over all of them. I think that's just about it for the room card. And then I'll style it later on, and I'll just show you the styling. Obviously now I just need to make sure that booking has the correct room card. Looks like it does have the correct room card, but I'm just failing to get the room card. It's just a simple thing with Firebase. So yeah, getting a lot of errors. Well, it's basically the same error. I think here I need this, and also here I need this, and I need to change this to this. Now I'm no longer getting the errors I was getting, but as you can see, the styling is still the same. Styling is still the same. So what else do I need? Now that booking is okay, now I need to find a way of setting the bookings accordingly, or rather, yeah, setting a booking if I want to book a room and all of that. Now that I have a selected room and this part of said selected room is working. So to do that, don't need that much line of code. All we need to make sure is that we have a room that's selected. Just checking that there is a room that's selected. And if that's the case, what we want to do is display the we'll have two other components. We'll just have a calendar component and a booking slip component. That the booking slip will be the one that's displaying the current amount. So depending on the amount of days that you're booking, it will display the amount, or the total rather, and then the calendar will just be the one that helps you select the amount of days. And then we'll just have the buttons, obviously, one that books and the other one that clears the dates, and slab, obviously. Let's start with the bookings. Let's start with that. We'll call this booking details container. So this will be the main container that contains everything. And then we'll have div just have a color and just have a calendar container. I'm not sure what we're gonna give it as of yet, but we'll see. And then we'll have the booking slab. Let's rather just make sure we are giving it all it needs. So we'll give it a handle date change, which we will define. And then we will also give it a selected date, which we will also define. We will then give it is it booked, which we will also define. And then this one, let's rather just focus on the calendar container for now. take all of these. So handle date change. We will also take selected dates. We will also take is booked. Then obviously for now we'll just return nothing. Export default. Calendar contain. Then we'll just call it in here, or rather import it correctly. And then for the calendar container itself, it's pretty straightforward. What we will be doing is calendar container. And then we'll just be calling the calendar library. Then we'll be giving it all these other values. So on change, we want to handle date change value is selected dates, and then title tile class name. Is date is booked, and then you just give it date. So that's the date that's booked. Selected range, is equal to true. So now all you need to do is define these three things. So what are we missing? We're missing the handle date change and it's booked. Start with the handle date change. Obviously this takes in the date. So now we just iterate over the last date in the selection. So we've handled now the selected the change. Now we need to just check if it's booked. This does not take anything, takes in the data, date man. Sharp. So it will return booked if it's booked, otherwise it will return null. So as you can see, when you click now, it has this calendar as well. That's not really nice, hence the styling afterwards, but it's doing the most. It's doing what it's supposed to be doing, and that's good enough. So now we need to handle the booking slip that we have not yet defined. Don't remember what it's supposed to take in. I'll just define it later on. Let me just, I'll give it its parameters later on. Let's just make sure it's calling it. yeah, download the calendar container. Apart from the mere fact that we need to call it styling. So is it? This is how we call it styling. Yeah. So now, as you can see, the styling is a bit better. So this is the one line that calls the styling. So React calendar distribution calendar.css. And then now we need to give calendar container all its elements or the things that it needs. So where is it? A booking slot rather. So what it needs is selected room, selected date, calculate subtotal, and then calculate total. That's all it needs. And then maybe let's we'll define those afterwards. Let's just make sure this is doing what it's supposed to be doing. So we need that container, obviously. So we'll call this booking slab, and then we'll just give it the h2 h3 tag, booking slab. Then what we want is a table. And then obviously we need the table head. And then obviously the table head will have the headings. So we'll just say table row for now, and then table headings, name, then days, and then amount. Done with the table head. Now we need the table body. This will be a bit different. In the sense that it will have a table row, then we'll have selected room dot name. And then we'll have this table row selected date. Is it date? Yes. Dot length. And then we'll have the table row again. Well, now we'll have the amount, selected room, then we'll query it for the price, then to fixed. Now that's done. We'll have, actually I made a mistake here. Should be table data. Okay, right. Still need to define these, so obviously it won't work. Then we'll have another table row. We'll have a table mttd. Then I'll have this sub total, excluding VAT. Let's just make it a capital letter E. Just want to have that two fixed two small places. Then what we want is almost the same thing with this, but we just want to say this is tax. So tax 15%. And then we want to calculate all of that. Times 0.15, 0. That's our 15%. Then we want to copy this again, but this one is for the total itself. So this includes tax. Still again, we have not defined these KNE. I think that's just about it on the booking slab. It's just about it on the booking slab. It's not really that complicated. And then obviously we need to now give it what it wants. which is the selected room, then selected date is equal to selected date, calculate subtotal, and then we still need to define that calculate total is equal to calculate total. Still need to define that as well. So I think yeah, we still need to handle this booking and all of that, but for now let's handle the calculate total and calculate subtotal. Then for that, it's pretty straightforward. Let's put a condition there just to make sure there's a room that's selected first of all before you even calculate. And then there's also dates that are selected. And then what we want is to return selected room dot price times selected date dot length. Just times it by the number of days. Otherwise we return 0. That's it. And then calculated total should also be straightforward. Just the mere fact that we'll be adding that 15% and all. And then for this one we'll just define subtotal is equal to calculate subtotal, and then we will return subtotal plus subtotal times 0.15. So we just add the current subtotal with the 15%, and that's just what we return. Let's just load it again, try again. As you can see now we have the booking slip. I'll style it later on, guys, unfortunately. What else do we need now? We just need the dates now to handle the bookings and all of that. Let's do that. So for those we need buttons, right? Yes. Buttons, container, just want the button. We have the book now. Then let's just copy that, or rather let's last name. We will handle that. For now, we are just gonna be implementing the logic. We will also handle clear dates. So now obviously we need to handle those two things. Start with the handle booking because that's the most important. One thing I shouldn't forget, this is a sync, so it should sync and wait for the data before it does anything. So constant user authentication dot current user. It didn't get the current authentication that I'm looking for. Current user, will be getting the current user, and if user and selection dates, selected room and selected dates, the length, just make sure that we are not trying to add nothing or an empty booking. We want to try as always, then catch as always. On the catch we wanna alert, man. It's alert because we want them to know what's going on. Also, if this condition does not pass, we also want to alert. This time that means that something is empty. And at least one date. And then now let's implement the part where it's updating the Firestore. So wait. This is the part where we map over all the selected dates and add for each and every one of those dates. So meaning that each date will have its own document in the thingy in Firestore. This one will be adding it in its own collection of bookings. Remember, rooms is also added, it's also in its own collection of rooms. User ID. And user.uuid. There, we want the room ID. Booking date. Formatted date. Then once that's done, we want to alert the user room is booked successfully. Then set selected date is equal to nothing, just so we reset everything else. Set selected room is null, just so we make sure that we are resetting our data and we won't be setting the same room or booking the same room more than once. Set booked date to nothing as well. And obviously now that handle booking is it should be okay. Handle booking should be okay. Now what else? Handle cancel, handle clear. This should be straightforward, guys. I'm sure you guys also can implement it on your own. Set selected days to nothing. So that's the only thing we'll be setting to nothing, because obviously the room we still want it to be selected and all of that, but the selected dates we want it to be nothing. What am I doing wrong? Handle clear should be defined, man. It is defined. So if you select this day and this day and this day, now it's selecting only one day, so let's just make sure we are doing the right thing here. Select 1, 2 and three, something is wrong. Oh yeah, that's fine. 1 2, select 1 2, clear. 1 2, book. Error booking is not a function. Date dot. Okay, so now we see there's an error in handle date. This is giving me a problem. Shouldn't be, should it? Let's say to local date string. See what it does now. Booking is successful. So if we come to my bookings now, my bookings should be populated. Then Firestore database should also have bookings collection. It does. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe something I'm missing. Maybe in my bookings, I don't know. Could be the fact that I'm not getting all the docs. Just trying to get one single doc. Then does it work now? Perfect. Now that's perfect. Let me get the styling in, guys, and then I'll just show you afterwards. So as you can see, I've implemented the styling, and also on bookings as well. The styling is there. So basically this is how it looks. You can just pause the video anytime you feel like it, sorry, and just check out the styling. And then this is for the navigation bar, which we've done. This is for my bookings we've gone through, and then this is for authentication, which we have done as well. So thank you very much, guys. Just like, subscribe, leave a comment, and I do apologize for the long video and my voice. I have a flu, so yeah, like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Please leave a comment down below on what I can change and how I can improve. This is your hotel booking app, and this is Kenzo Cook Play. So thank you.